We are now more than almost a year into the pandemic, and that is just
Right.
odd to think. Actually, you probably could say we are a year because there were reports that it was already in the US by January. You wrote this poem as a means for, why did you write the poem? I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I think I was self-soothing, and at the same time, as a teacher of children and as a former chaplain, a spiritual care provider, supporting people in their healing and in hard times, I was thinking, well, what is the comfort we need right now? And I guess I kind of projected metaphors for the way we could use this time creatively and in a way to both provide comfort for ourselves, but also grow and create.
How long did it take you to write?
20 minutes, maybe a half hour. I just kind of, sketched it out, and it wasn't, I didn't even consider it one of my poems. It was just a little thing I wrote to post on Facebook to my friends.
And then it happened.
But yeah.
It seems that people really, people saw their experience in your words, and I think it resonated just across the globe. And thank you for sharing this bit, and that's soothing, you're self-soothing with all of us.
Yeah.
Now that we're at this point in the pandemic, and I don't know how many people thought we'd get here.
Yeah.
Looking back at your words now, what meaning do they hold today?
Well, I'll tell you, this was published on Facebook on March 13th. So we're almost into a year. And over the course of that year, I've met a lot of artists and reacquainted with others whom I've known since college, at least, and some earlier. And most of them have been very busy creating. Some of the artists wanted to use these words for music or dance or painting or God knows what. And others were just inspired that I had so much joy with this to continue with their own creativity. So a year in, those people are struggling like we all are with lockdowns, some with bills, some with rent, blah, blah, but they are creating and they're maintaining their mental health, their emotional health, and feeding their spirits. If we look around, we see that a lot of people aren't doing that they haven't the skills, perhaps, they haven't the training, they haven't had people sit down and affirm their gifts in ways that they can name them and explore them and feel comfortable with them. Many people are faced with crises that are economic and health related. And, all of this is who we are right now. And I guess a year in, I'm encouraged by people creating. I'm discouraged by the lack of unity and mutual support we're able to offer each other.
And perhaps, they think out of darkness comes light. And as we cross these thresholds, 400,000 lives that have been taken by this awful virus, your word somewhat speak to that darkness. It's hints of that in there.
I think so. In two places, I did say that in being confined to home, in being confined, period, to the self, to more time with the self, it gives us that time to sort of review and contemplate and examine if our life prior to all this was going in a direction that was using our gifts and feeding our spirit. and that I called it, some people met their shadows in the Jungian sense, that we had a chance to face things about our lives, our choices, ourselves, that could teach us where we maybe had gone off track, where we had done well with who we came to be, and how we could kind of self-correct if we felt that that was something that would make our lives fuller and more integrated. So there is that darkness that could lead to light. These are personal choices, and our responsibility, I think, needs to be really encouraged and affirmed as we experience all this. How we take it in and what we do with it doesn't always have to depend on the government or anyone else. It can depend on our choice, what we get up and what we do with our day and our time and our gifts. So there's that. I think the other darkness, though, is that it has been mishandled so egregiously that we're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as clearly as we could, and as I think we will soon, if we can hang in there. In the poem, The Other Darkness, was that I admitted that the first thing is to grieve our losses. I think name and grieve them, and there are many. It's not just people who have died, which is tragic and a horror for us as a planet, but it's the losses of jobs, it's the losses of friendship, it's the losses of all these things that have occurred over this last year, and we really do need to grieve them communally before we dance off into the light-filled future. I think that's part of the healing we need to do, and the last few weeks have only made it worse in terms of the amount of healing I think we need to do.
Or perhaps not worse, but shone a light on it, that everybody hasn't had that chance to grieve. And maybe that was a way of grieving in a sense. Show the
I think always.
Mhm.
I totally agree with you. Always behind anger, there's suffering and pain. Always.
You spoke to it. Perhaps we will start to see that light. It has been a very, very dark period, and we're still not even in what the doctors and the health officials are saying in the worst of it. You know, we're still climbing
Right.
that steep mountain.
But we do have a lot to look at with hope, a lot. And, it's a balance, but I would never want to leave anyone with the idea that, we must be gloomy and we must, all is dark and woe is us, because I think that's a big mistake, a huge mistake, to not see that this is what we do next matters. It always does. And I think this is a time to seize the joy and the light and the hope and really hang on to it tight and affirm it for each other, because it's coming. It's coming. It's, got to be patient.
For you, the vaccine, I'll switch to more practical things. Are you looking forward to?
I'm very much looking forward to the vaccine. I'm not in a category that allows me to, I still don't really know what all the tiers are, but I know I'm not in the top. So, so then we wait. And for us, that isn't bad because we're retired. And, we have these 5 dogs and 3 cats. So we got a full house. We got a lot to keep us busy and things to do until we can get the vaccine. But boy, I can't wait.
What has this time of confinement taught you about yourself?
That I am self-reliant in a way I guess I didn't know I was. And I don't mean in exclusion of my relationship with my husband, but um, my creative impulses have really saved me. I don't know what this year would have been like had I not been able to meet so many people and co-create so many things while I was sitting in my house with the doors locked. um, and so, it's taught me that the human spirit, not just mine, um, but the human spirit reaches for light. I think it's the natural inclination.
Your words mean so much to so many people then, and I still
Thank
think now, because we are clearly still in.
Yeah, here we go.
are-
Yeah.
They are very hopeful.